Lake Hits, Stock 103.9, Lake Area's #1 station. Jackson Brown, that is Dr. My Eyes. 4:05, Super Thursday rolls on. Chip Linus along with Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota and theautoschool.com. And Louie, a week away from Thanksgiving, man.
I know.
Can you believe that?
I can. You gotta. If you're listening, you gotta get your tips now because we will not be on the air next week. And,
we're going to be eating turkey.
I know.
The turkeys will be eating turkey.
You had a question. You said someone asked you about leasing. What was that? Before I get to this next mistake potentially someone could make, what was the question?
Someone heard our show about leasing a couple weeks ago, and traditionally, I think you said a lease was 12,000, maybe 10,000 miles.
Correct.
They wanted to know. Some of the advantages of leasing sounded good to them,
right?
But they drove too many miles. They said, can I pay a fee to up that mileage?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I'll answer it directly. The answer is yes. You can buy mileage up front. 18, and before I misquote, I want to say you can get up to 24,000 miles a year. But here's the deal. Remember something. When you buy more mileage, okay, you're lowering the residual, okay? Mm-hmm. Therefore, you're adding more to this deal, and you have to look at the math again. As somebody who understands it, I mean, you're sitting in front of them, you need to really figure how much more am I going to buy, and do I typically trade more often? Because if you trade more often, I personally, whether you drive 25,000 miles or not, I wouldn't buy extra mileage. That's my personal recommendation. If you trade every 3 or 4 years. Right. But if you want more mileage for peace of mind, absolutely, you can get it. It's not hard to do. They figure right in the contract it's going to raise the payment because you're buying those miles up front.
But that's cheaper than turning it in at the end of 3 years with 50,000 miles on it?
All day long. Yeah, if you say, listen, I'm doing this leasing thing for the first time, or I've done one in the past, and I know I can trade it and not be affected by the mileage, but I just want peace of mind. I know I don't drive more than 20,000 miles a year. Can I buy that? Because I'm going to turn it in at the end, yes, you can do that. And if that makes you feel better in your purchase, then by all means, that's the right choice for you. So that's a good question. We've got some staff members here has a novel idea. I'm so excited. So hopefully we can get it worked out. We may not, but the idea was I was telling Chip that when I did this show in Augusta that I wish it was a live call-in type of show and so forth. And logistically, there's some challenges that would make it tougher because we're playing music at the same time. It's not nonstop. With that being said, one of the staff members said, why don't we just let the listeners go to the doc Facebook page, put their question online, and ask it live right online as they're typing it in. So we're now in the process of working that out. So hopefully we can get that worked out over the next break.
Yep.
So that would be a great idea. Let's get to this third potential mistake that you can make, and we've talked about just recapping. The first one is not understanding the true market value of your trade and how to avoid that. The next one was focusing on dealer profit, not necessarily your best deal. And then you said, in relation to that, was doing the research, because the third mistake is somehow buying an automobile and not using the internet to help you buy it. That would be catastrophic. Okay. And like you said earlier, there's just too much information. There's really no reason why you wouldn't. It's
not hard.
Yeah, it really is. And you're in the process of buying something from me right now with doing some research, right? I mean, we looked at a couple cars and didn't measure up to the research you did. So, and that's the benefit. So here's the deal with doing the research. Couple of good points. The first thing is, honestly, with research on the web, you can research safety, depreciation, cost of ownership, what the car will be worth in 3 years, warranty information, invoice information, interest rate information, service history information, car and driver information, consumer report information, true market value on trades, true market price on the car you want to buy, and the list goes on and on and on. With that at your disposal, literally computer disposal, there's no excuse not to get excited about buying a car, knowing what your deal should be, and walking out of there, I mean, just clicking your heels, really and truly. The other thing I want to mention in terms of the internet department in a car dealership is probably one of the best kept secrets in the country. In other words, you can expedite your deal by buying directly from the internet. And again, the key for me in letting you know is most people want to know right up front, what's the best deal, man? Just give me the best price. Now, if you ever gone to a dealership, if I could see hands raised through the air on the radio, I guarantee all would go up, because if you want to bet, give me your best price, it just doesn't come out right away, right? Yeah. Because there's process and car selection, and that really aggravates customers. And so I understand that. But if you go to the web, you know what you get? You get the best price. And here's the reason why. if you're shopping online, the folks in the internet department, we don't get you into the dealership if you live in Warner Robins to come to Millersville by giving you the highest price. I mean, you've got to have something attractive. And then, of course, face-to-face interaction has to happen of completion of the paperwork, a proper trade evaluation, but most of the stuff you can get right up front. The other thing customers hate, back and forth, Chip. When you're on the web, you minimize back and forth. Here's the beauty. You come into the dealership after being online, dealing with an internet sales representative. By the time you get to the store, you're not hashing out price over price, and it's almost all done. So you're saving with brain damage, and you're also saving with your valuable time, right? No one wants to be at a car store for 4 hours, okay? So, again, getting information is the most important thing. If you contact a dealership and they don't have an internet department, some internet process of some way, shape, or form, there's a problem. That's not normal. Even like my small store, we don't have a dedicated department. I mean, I did in a bigger store. Our store is a little small, but we have designated people that respond. Here's the deal. You need to check 3 things when you're emailing a dealer. You want to check how fast they got back with you, if they got back to you, and what's the price. Bottom line, there should be no dancing around. If you send someone an email inquiry and they don't get back to you, in my dealership, and I'm not saying mine's special, most car stores focus on this, the response time should be legitimately 5 minutes or less.
Wow.
That's the response time. If it starts getting an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, and you haven't heard back from somebody, honestly, and shame on me if it's ever happened at my store, you don't need to do business with that company. That's just my opinion. They need to be on it. I mean, you're inquiring. There are some internet departments that allow you to chat live right online. You go on, boom, you can put up and start chatting right online, kind of like text messaging back and forth. So, I mean, there's so much benefit to doing research and using the internet to help you buy a car. So the mistake number 3 is not using the web. If you buy an automobile and you have buyer's remorse, I have to tell you bluntly, shame on you. That would be a catastrophe. You should never have buyer's remorse. Unless something was immoral, unethical that the dealer attempted to do, that's something to be upset about. Other than that, man, you have to take responsibility, and there's so much available to you. And again, if you're listening, Herron at LouieHerronToyota.com, whether you want to buy a Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai, Chevrolet, Ford, I'll help you. I'll help you because, at the end of the day, what goes around comes around, and you should enjoy the process. So that's mistake number 3, Chip. Any comments on that, my friend?
All right. No, Louie, that's kind of self-explanatory, and if they did more research, that would eliminate mistake number 1. I mean, they wouldn't have to...
Exactly. And when we come back from the break here, we're going to get into the finance portion that you're not going to want to miss this because, again, this will truthfully cost you some money as well.
All right. Very good. Back with more from Louie Herron of LouieHerronToyota.com, critical mistakes when buying a car, and we'll be back with more right after this. It's 4:13, Super Thursday with Chip and Louie on Doc 103.9. The back-to-school bell is ringing, and Georgia Center for Sight wants to make sure your children have all the tools they need to succeed in class this year. Georgia Center for Sight wants to be your center for sight. Most children don't know they need glasses, and since 80%